The second safety issue found by the CSB is process knowledge. The CSB found that throughout the history of the Superior Refinery, under several owners, its FCC expertise was mostly in-house and with minimal engagement with other refineries. In addition, the refinery's use of external technical experts was limited to assessing the FCC unit's performance during normal, not transient operations. The Superior Refinery required its operations department to review and recertify its operating procedures annually. But the refinery had not performed a technical review of its FCC unit operating procedures with its process engineers, the FCC technology licensor, or outside consultants for at least 25 years prior to the incident, and possibly since the unit was commissioned around 1960. As a result, the refinery's shutdown procedures, which instructed operators to maintain the regenerator at a higher pressure than the reactor at all times, directly contradicted the FCC technology licensor's guidance and created the dangerous condition that enabled the explosion to occur.
The Superior Refinery had serious errors in its FCC unit operating procedures that directly led to the explosion. But refinery employees did not have sufficient process knowledge of FCC unit technology to recognize the problem. Had the refinery engaged with other sites or outside experts to review its operating procedures, the technical errors could have been identified and corrected, and the explosion could have been prevented.
Therefore, the CSB made a recommendation to Cenovus Energy to develop and implement a technology-specific knowledge-sharing network program across all Cenovus-operated refineries, which at a minimum includes an FCC technology peer network. The third safety issue highlighted by the CSB is process safety management systems. OSHA's Process Safety Management Standard and the EPA's Risk Management Plan rule require facilities like the Superior Refinery to implement process safety management systems. Process Safety Management, or PSM systems, are meant to identify, evaluate, and control process hazards. But the CSB found that the refinery's PSM systems were inadequate. For instance, the refinery's process safety information did not include the operating manual published by the FCC technology licensor. Process hazard analyses performed at the refinery did not effectively identify hazards present during transient operations of the FCC unit, nor outline ways to control those hazards. The refinery's operating procedures lacked clear instructions and were not technically evaluated. And the operator training program at the refinery did not properly prepare operators to shut down the FCC unit safely.
The deficiencies we found in Superior Refinery's process safety management systems directly contributed to the explosion. To prevent catastrophic incidents, companies should ensure that their PSM systems are effective at identifying, evaluating, and controlling process hazards, not just during normal operations, but during transient operations as well.
As a result of its findings, the CSB made a recommendation to OSHA to develop guidance documents for performing process hazard analysis on operating procedures to address transient operation hazards in facilities with PSM-covered processes. The fourth safety issue found by the CSB is industry knowledge and guidance. The explosion at Superior Refinery occurred less than 1 year after the CSB released its report on a similar explosion at the ExxonMobil refinery in Torrance, California. Industry trade groups distributed lessons learned from the California incident, as well as the CSB's safety video on the explosion. But despite these educational efforts, employees at the Superior Refinery did not learn or apply these key lessons in a way that could have prevented the explosion at their refinery. For example, the workforce appeared to understand that flammable hydrocarbons had flowed from the California refinery's main column into the regenerator and subsequently exploded. But they did not recognize that the reverse was also possible. Therefore, they did not realize a similar explosion was preventable by implementing a reactor steam barrier. In addition, there is currently no industry publication that establishes common basic process safety expectations for all FCC units. Although the refining industry has accumulated many years of FCC process safety knowledge from its members, this information is scattered, complex, and not easily accessible to some refinery employees.
The CSB believes that a publicly available technical publication outlining recognized and generally accepted good engineering practices for safe FCC operation and incorporating lessons learned from this and other similar CSB investigations could help drive important safety improvements in FCC units across the United States.
Therefore, the CSB made a recommendation to the American Petroleum Institute to develop a publicly available technical publication for the safe operation of FCC units that is applicable to both new and existing units. The fifth safety issue outlined by the CSB is brittle fracture during extreme events. The two process vessels that exploded were constructed from a grade of steel that is no longer recommended for new equipment. The vessels failed by brittle fracture, which means that they shattered like breaking glass. When the vessels failed, the force of the explosion sent over 100 metal fragments from the shattered vessels around the refinery. One large piece struck and punctured the nearby asphalt tank. Had the process vessels been made of a new grain of steel with better toughness properties, they would have more likely torn open rather than shattered, resulting in fewer, if any, dangerous projectiles.
While some vessels may be deemed fit for service, they're not usually assessed for their performance during an explosion. Selecting materials of construction that are not susceptible to brittle fracture can help lessen the impact to the surroundings should an extreme event occur.
The sixth and final safety issue noted by the CSB is emergency preparedness. The Superior Refinery uses highly toxic hydrofluoric acid, or HF, in its alkylation process. The HF storage tank was about 150 feet away from the two vessels that exploded, which is about 50 feet closer than the asphalt storage tank that was damaged. The HF tank was not punctured or otherwise compromised, but the CSB considers this incident to be a serious near-miss event with hydrofluoric acid. Explosion debris did, however, puncture the asphalt storage tank, causing over 17,000 barrels of hot asphalt to spill out into the refinery, where it accumulated for approximately 2 hours before it ignited.
It was only a matter of time until the spilled asphalt caught on fire. Had emergency responders treated the asphalt as a flammable liquid, they could have taken more effective action sooner to control the asphalt spill before it ignited.
The result is that the initial explosion escalated into a large fire that caused hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage. In addition, smoke from the fire and the potential for an HF release prompted the City of Superior evacuation order, causing disruption to over 2,500 members of the surrounding community. The refinery remained shut down for more than 4 years following this incident. In response, the CSB made a recommendation to the EPA to develop a program that prioritizes and emphasizes inspections of FCC units in refineries that operate HF alkylation units to verify that safeguards that prevent explosions during transient operations are in place.
The incident at the Superior Refinery should serve as a wake-up call to other refineries, especially those that have hydrofluoric acid alkylation units. During transient operations like shutdowns and startups, refineries must have necessary safeguards in place and follow correct procedures to prevent disasters from occurring. Thank you for watching this CSB safety video.
For more information, please visit csb.gov.